What the hell is happening?
Crawler's got you.
It's supposed to be real!
Real, unreal, what's the difference?
You started this and now you're afraid to finish it just like you're afraid of everything else!
And your friends are letting it out.
Shut up! No!
My God. He knows my secrets.
Event Horizon, 1997. The haunted house movie that traded creaky floorboards for creaky spaceships. When I first watched this movie, I couldn't sleep for a week straight. The rescue crew finds this abandoned spacecraft that disappeared into a black hole, and what follows is pure nightmare fuel. Sam Neill delivers one of the creepiest performances ever, as the scientist who goes completely off the deep end. Those scenes where the crew watches the video logs still make me jump, and the gothic architecture in space creates this perfect atmosphere of dread. The hell dimension sequences, pure nightmare material. Remember those flashing scenes of the original crew? I still see those in my dreams sometimes. The mix of space isolation and supernatural horror works perfectly here.
More docile and controllable.
Just don't know it yet.
Species, 1995. Imagine scientists receiving alien DNA instructions and thinking, hey, let's just make this thing. What could possibly go wrong? This movie took the alien threat in a completely different direction. Natasha Henstridge plays this perfect alien-human hybrid who looks gorgeous but transforms into something straight out of H.R. Giger's darkest dreams. The way she hunts for a mate through Los Angeles created this weird mix of sexy and terrifying that only the 90s could pull off. The transformation scenes still hold up today. Those tentacles and spikes bursting out gave me nightmares for months. And when she cocoons her victims, pure nightmare fuel. The chase scenes through the city keep you on edge, and Michael Madsen plays this perfect tough guy who's way out of his depth. Drop a comment below. Which 90s movie monster still gives you nightmares? The species alien or Event Horizon's hell dimension demons?
Who could be doing? One knows what to call it.
Tremors, 1990. Let me tell you about the movie that made me afraid to walk on sand. These massive underground worms called graboids are hunting people in this tiny desert town, and it's just perfect. Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward play these handyman buddies who suddenly have to become monster hunters. The way these creatures move underground, creating these ripples in the sand before striking, genius. Remember that scene where they're stranded on rocks, playing the world's deadliest game of the floor is lava? The practical effects for the graboids still look amazing today. What makes this movie special is how it balances horror with humor. You're laughing 1 minute and jumping the next. And those scenes where they have to stay completely silent, pure tension.
Merry Christmas, baby. I got something else you like.
What is it?
Hardware, 1990. Here's a hidden gem that deserves more love. Set in this gritty, post-apocalyptic world, the story follows a scavenger who brings home what he thinks is just a cool robot head. Big mistake. This killer robot, called the MARK-13, rebuilds itself and starts terrorizing people in this cramped apartment building. The whole movie has this incredible industrial vibe, with a killer soundtrack that perfectly matches the mechanical horror. The way the robot stalks its victims through the building, using the electrical systems and security cameras, pure genius. The neon-soaked visuals and practical effects create this perfect cyberpunk nightmare. And that scene where it finally reveals its fully rebuilt form, absolutely terrifying. The confined space makes everything feel more intense and personal.
People afraid of themselves.
We gotta go right now!
We're gonna get out of here, Marty.
Body Snatchers, 1993. When they decided to remake Invasion of the Body Snatchers on a military base, they created something special. Gabrielle Anwar plays this teenager who moves to a military base with her family, only to discover that aliens are replacing everyone with emotionless duplicates. The military setting adds this extra layer of paranoia. Who can you trust when everyone follows orders without question anyway? That scene where she realizes her own father isn't human anymore hits hard, and the pod people screech. It still sends shivers down my spine. The way the movie plays with the idea of conformity in the military setting is brilliant. Those scenes in the base hospital where they're creating the replicas, pure nightmare fuel. Drop a comment right now. What scares you more? Hell dimensions or alien hybrids? The eternal battle of supernatural versus biological horror.
What are they?
Until it turned its sights on them.
Screamers, 1995. Based on a Philip K. Dick story, this movie will make you question every piece of tech in your house. Peter Weller plays this soldier on a mining colony where these self-replicating robots called Screamers have evolved way beyond their original programming. The way these blade-running terrors can now imitate humans adds this perfect layer of paranoia. That reveal when they discover the child Screamer? Absolutely chilling. The desolate mining colony creates this perfect backdrop for mechanical horror. The scene where they're tracking the Screamers through the tunnels, hearing that high-pitched screaming getting closer and closer, pure tension. And when they realize the Screamers have evolved into perfect human copies, that's when the real paranoia kicks in.
Our planet.
Is this gonna be on the test?
This is the test.
We have to destroy it.
The Faculty, 1998. Robert Rodriguez brought us this perfect blend of alien invasion and teen drama. The cast is packed with 90s icons like Josh Hartnett, Jordana Brewster, and Elijah Wood, playing students who discover their teachers are being controlled by alien parasites. The way it plays with high school paranoia is brilliant, because who hasn't thought their teachers were actually aliens at some point? That scene in the locker room where they test each other with drugs to see who's human, classic. The alien designs are so creepy, especially when you see them swimming around in that tank. And Coach Willis's transformation scene still makes me squirm. The way it builds tension in such a familiar setting makes everything more terrifying. Tell me in the comments, what's the creepiest robot design from 90s horror? I bet the Screamers are high on your list.
To mimic its predator, they are
Became human.
If that thing has been around.
Mimic, 1997. Guillermo del Toro's first Hollywood film, and boy, did he deliver. The story follows scientists who created genetically modified cockroaches to fight a disease, but 3 years later, these bugs have evolved into something much worse. The way these giant insects can disguise themselves as humans in trench coats is just brilliant horror imagery. Those subway tunnel scenes are pure claustrophobic terror. You'll never look at a strange figure on a dark platform the same way again. The creature designs are amazing, especially when you see their true form. That scene where they discover the insect's nest in the subway tunnel, pure nightmare fuel. And when Mira Sorvino's character is trapped in that button car, the tension is unbearable.
Girl from Ipanema.
Deep Rising, 1998. Here's a movie that asks, what if we put aliens on a cruise ship? And it totally works. Treat Williams leads a group of mercenaries who board this luxury liner, only to find it's been attacked by these massive tentacle monsters. The way these creatures tear through the ship's corridors creates some amazing chase scenes. Those moments when you see what they do to their victims, keeping them alive while they digest them, absolutely horrifying. The creature effects still hold up today, and the confined space of the ship adds to the terror. That scene in the flooded ballroom where they're trying to swim to safety, pure tension. And when they finally see the full creature, it's worth the wait. The mix of humor and horror is perfectly balanced.
Want him here? During a transmission from the Mir space station.
Virus, 1999. Jamie Lee Curtis takes on killer robots on a ghost ship, and it's as awesome as it sounds. When a crew discovers an abandoned Russian research vessel, they find it's been taken over by an alien electrical force that's building robot bodies from human parts. The way the machines start fusing with human bodies is pure body horror gold. Those scenes where the hybrid creatures chase them through the ship's corridors are terrifying. The practical effects for the human-machine hybrids are incredible. All those mechanical limbs and exposed wiring mixed with flesh? Nightmare fuel. The storm-tossed ship creates this perfect haunted house in the middle of the ocean. That scene where they first encounter the automated welding equipment? Pure tension. Hitting subscribe helps keep the monsters away. Well, not really, but do it anyway.
Lock into the spinal column.
Using us like puppets? For being minute. We've lost a town, now we've lost an army.
The Puppet Masters, 1994. Ready for more alien parasites? Based on Robert Heinlein's novel, this one hits different. Donald Sutherland leads a team investigating these slug-like creatures that attach to people's backs and take control of their bodies. The way these parasites spread through the town creates this perfect atmosphere of paranoia. Anyone could be controlled. Remember that scene where they discover the whole police department has been taken over? Pure chills. The effects team did an amazing job with the parasites. They look so slimy and organic. That moment when they first see someone being controlled, moving all stiff and weird, totally creepy. And when they have to strip down to prove they're not infected, such a tense scene. The government facility sequences are shocking, especially when you see all those tanks filled with parasites.
20 minutes.
Records are meant to be broken. Clear! If there's anything wrong with you, it's not physical.
Hideaway, 1995. Talk about a wild ride. Jeff Goldblum plays this guy who dies for a few minutes and comes back with a psychic connection to a serial killer. The way they show the killer's visions is so trippy, all these swirling colors and warped perspectives that really mess with your head. The scenes where Goldblum suddenly gets pulled into the killer's mind while doing normal things like driving are super intense. And when he starts seeing through the killer's eyes while the murders are happening, absolutely terrifying. The effects might look dated now, but those psychic sequences are still really effective. That scene in the amusement park at the end, pure 90s horror gold. Plus, it's Jeff Goldblum bringing his unique style to a horror role. What's not to love? Quick debate time. Which setting is scarier? A monster-filled cruise ship or an alien-infested space station? Battle it out in the comments.
Versuchen, lebende Haut herzustellen aus Metall und Gewebe.
Experimente an gefrorenen.
Project? Metalbeast, 1995. Get ready for this. It's a movie about a werewolf created by military experiments. When they try to combine werewolf blood with military technology, they create this unstoppable metal-skinned werewolf. The practical effects for the metal werewolf are actually pretty impressive for a low-budget 90s film. Those scenes where you can hear its metal claws clicking on the floor as it hunts, super creepy. Barry Bostwick plays this scientist trying to stop his creation, and he totally commits to the crazy premise. The laboratory scenes where they're trying to contain the creature are intense, especially when it starts climbing on the walls with its metal claws. That moment when they realize bullets just bounce off its metal skin, pure panic. The whole movie has this great B-movie charm that makes it so fun to watch.
2. Paranoid people with guns are a menace to society.
We gotta get bigger guns. It ain't no push.
Split Second, 1992. Rutger Hauer stars in this cyberpunk horror set in a flooded, futuristic London. He plays this burnt-out cop hunting a monster that rips out its victims' hearts. The rain-soaked, neon-lit streets create this perfect dark atmosphere, and Hauer brings his unique intensity to the role. That scene where they first find the creature's lair in the flooded subway tunnels, absolutely chilling. The way the monster toys with the police, leaving clues and stolen hearts, adds this creepy serial killer element to the creature feature format. Those moments when you catch glimpses of the monster in the shadows or reflected in the floodwaters are super effective. The final showdown in the flooded underground station is pure adrenaline. Plus, the buddy cop dynamic between Hauer and his partner adds some great moments of humor.
Without
You're in the game, man. You're in control.
more Hamilton and Hayden, it's real.
You what?
Brainscan, 1994. Here's a perfect slice of 90s virtual reality horror. Edward Furlong plays this teenager who tries an interactive horror video game called Brainscan, but the game starts affecting reality. The main villain, the Trickster, is this perfect mix of Freddy Krueger and a video game boss, played with such creepy energy by T. Ryder Smith. Those scenes where reality starts glitching between the game world and real world are so trippy. The way the Trickster pops up in the real world, eating snacks and causing chaos, is both terrifying and kind of hilarious. That moment when Furlong realizes he might have actually committed murder while playing the game, pure dread. The whole movie captures that 90s fear of new technology perfectly. Plus, it has some killer practical effects. Death Machine, 1994. Brad Dourif absolutely steals the show in this cyberpunk nightmare. He plays this totally unhinged weapons designer who creates a killer robot called the War Beast. When things go wrong at the weapons company, this massive mechanical monster starts hunting people through the building. The War Beast design is so cool, like a mix between Alien and the Terminator. With these massive metal claws and thermal vision, those scenes where you can hear it moving through the ventilation system, pure tension. The whole movie has this great dirty industrial feel that really sells the near future setting. That moment when they first see the War Beast in action, tearing through security guards like paper, absolutely brutal. The cat and mouse game through the building keeps you on edge, especially when they're trying to hack the security systems. Time for a horror showdown. Who would win in a fight? The War Beast from Death Machine or the MARC-13 from Hardware? Break down your answer below.
Thousands of lives in the wrong hands.
Man's Best Friend, 1993. Imagine the world's smartest guard dog, but it's been enhanced with DNA from multiple predators. This movie takes our love for dogs and turns it into pure terror. Max, the genetically enhanced guard dog, starts off sweet but turns into this killing machine that can climb trees, turn invisible, and has the strength of a tiger. Those scenes where he's stalking his victims through suburban neighborhoods are so tense, you'll never look at a dog park the same way again. The way Max switches between being adorable and absolutely terrifying is amazing. That scene where he chases the cat? You won't believe what happens. Lance Henriksen plays this perfectly creepy scientist who created Max. The whole movie balances horror and dark humor in this perfect 90s way. Smash that subscribe button if you're brave enough for more horror content. Dark City, 1998. Get ready for a mind bender. Every night at midnight, everyone in the city falls asleep except our hero, who discovers these creepy pale guys called strangers rearranging reality. The way they show the city transforming at midnight, with buildings growing and shrinking, is absolutely mesmerizing. Those scenes where the strangers float through the air in their black coats, pure nightmare fuel. The movie creates this perfect noir atmosphere with its perpetual night and twisted architecture. That moment when Rufus Sewell realizes his memories might not be real? Total psychological horror. The underground lair of the strangers, with all those clockwork machines controlling the city, is so creepy. And when they start tuning, using their powers to warp reality, it's like a dark science fiction ballet.
Is something real?
Mindwarp, 1992. Bruce Campbell stars in this post-apocalyptic nightmare where people escape reality through a virtual world called the dreamscape. When our hero gets kicked out of this virtual paradise, she discovers the real world is full of underground mutant cannibals. The practical effects for the mutants are gloriously gross. All these twisted, deformed creatures living in underground tunnels. Those scenes in the mutant caves are pure horror gold, especially when they reveal what they do with their captives. The contrast between the clean virtual world and the grimy reality is perfect. That moment when they discover the truth about the protein farms, absolutely horrifying. Campbell brings his unique charm to this dark role, and Angus Scrimm from Phantasm shows up as this creepy mutant leader. Before you go, what's the most underrated 90s sci-fi horror movie that deserved a sequel? Share your picks, and let's start a petition. Time to wrap up this terrifying trip through 90s sci-fi horror. Thanks for joining me on this nostalgic nightmare journey. Don't forget to drop a comment with your favorite movie from the list. I love hearing your scary movie memories. Hit subscribe for more horror content coming your way. Until next time, keep watching the shadows. They might be hiding killer robots or alien parasites.